Marketing is hard. But I'll tell you a little secret. It doesn't have to be. Let me point something out. You're listening to a podcast right now, and it's great. You love the host. You seek it out and download it. You listen to it while driving, working out, cooking, even going to the bathroom. Podcasts are a pretty close companion. And this is a podcast ad. Did I get your attention? You can reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Libsyn Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a pre-produced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience in their favorite podcasts with Libsyn Ads. Go to libsynads.com, that's Libsyn, ads.com today.
Welcome to Storyworthy. My name is Christine Blackburn, and I'm coming to you from Los Angeles, California. Whether you're a longtime fan of the show of over 14 years or you're a brand new listener, welcome to Storyworthy. Now, as you know, if you've been listening at all, that I have not been putting out many episodes recently, and that is because I lost the hearing in my right ear this past May. So it is not hard to talk, clearly, but it is hard for me to edit, and it has really messed up the sound in my head. Why did my hearing stop? Why did I lose my hearing? I don't know. They don't know. It could be from concerts in the past, which is probably what it's from. But they did an MRI and a CAT scan, and nothing is apparent. It's not like a tumor or anything. Anyway, that happened at the end of May, and so it's been really hard podcasting. I have put out some story smashes, and then my new storytelling show over at Flappers, that came out last week or 2 weeks ago, and that show's going to be back in January at Flappers. I don't have a date yet, but I'll definitely air the show here on Storyworthy. There will be 8 storytellers once again telling true stories. And as you know, I don't book horrible people. Do you know what I mean? I only book talented people that are also kind. So you get those two things going for you when you listen to a storytelling show from Flappers. Also, you guys, big news. I am getting a cochlear implant, and that's happening on December 17th. So that's a Tuesday. It's coming up less than 3 weeks, and I'm very excited about it. I've looked into it, obviously. I've looked into it pretty hard, and I've listened to a lot of people talk about their own experiences on YouTube, and, it's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. They're going to make an incision behind my ear, I don't know, maybe 4 inches long, and then they're going to drill through my skull. That's nice, isn't it? They're going to drill through my skull, and they're going to put a little electrode in the cochlear of my ear. And then that will have a little wire that goes to the brain. And then they're going to sew me up. And then I'm going to come home, and I think I might be dizzy. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to go down, but I'm going to have a bandage on my head, obviously. And then January 7th, fast forward another 3 weeks, on my birthday, if you can believe that, January 7th, I get activated, which means you go back to the hospital and you meet with an audiologist, and then they flip a switch. And apparently I can hear again. I mean, that's the goal. It takes time. I know that there's a mapping process over a few months where you have to get, the best clarity you can from your implant. And, it's definitely a process. Don't get me wrong. But I am very happy to be on this path. And hopefully it will bring my hearing back. I mean, I don't know how to explain how horrible it's been. But, I mean, if there's a truck passing on the right side, I don't hear the truck. I mean, I do, because I hear with my left ear. But you know what I mean? Like, if somebody's talking, like, especially when I'm driving in the car, whoever's in the passenger seat, when they're talking to me, I don't hear them. Very hard to hear. And then in restaurants and in, clubs, it's definitely hard because all that background noise starts melding together, and unless I'm looking straight at somebody and I'm watching their lips, it's very hard to hear them. So anyway, cochlear implants, that's what's happening. I'm going with the company called Cochlear. There's 3 companies that make these implants, and I'm going with the one that is called Cochlear. They're out of Australia, and I don't know, man. When they're in my head, maybe they could can they add anything? Can they give me I don't know, inject, maybe like a really smart guy's DNA into my head? Can they do that? Stem cells. Okay, forget it. I'm rambling. I don't know. But this is all happening December 17th. So feel free to email me and tell me good luck. Would you do that? ChristineBlackburn1@gmail.com. That would be lovely. Also, you can check out storyworthypodcast.com for what's going on and to get your tickets for Story Smash, the storytelling game show. That's happening December 21st at the Lyric Hyperion here in LA. And this time we've got Wendy McClendon Covey on the show. And she is such a wonderful actress on the brand new sitcom St. Denis Medical, which is hilarious. I think there's been 3 so far. I've watched all of them twice. Super funny. Wendy's character is completely different than Beverly Goldberg from the Goldbergs. You know, that character, she was all snuggly and huggy. And this character, Joyce, she plays the hospital administrator. This person is not snuggly, is not huggy, and a very different role for Wendy. So that's fabulous. And the tickets are on sale right now for December 21st. If you're in LA, you have to come because it's incredibly entertaining. That's for sure. Oh, and guess what? I made up Story Smash hats. That's right. We've got swag. $20 for a baseball hat. Come on down to the show. You can pick up a hat. Makes a great Christmas gift. How do you like that? Anyway, you guys, I also wanted to touch on this year, 2024. It's been a hard year for all of us, regarding the election anyway. But for me, I also lost a brother-in-law earlier in the year. And his name was John, and a really good person. And, he passed of pancreatic cancer. And if somebody tells me I have pancreatic cancer, I will be getting on a quick list for euthanasia. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not messing around. Like, pancreatic cancer, like, they put my brother-in-law through a chemo treatment. You know what I mean? Like, that apparently gives him hope. There's no hope. There's no hope if you have pancreatic cancer. Forget it. Just be happy with the couple weeks, months you have left, and it's over, man. Pancreatic cancer is probably the worst of the worst. So that was sad. He passed away. But a lot of people went to the funeral home and passed by, to say their final farewells. And so he was well loved. And then my best friend from childhood, Kimberly, somebody I grew up with since I was 4 years old. Sadly, Kimberly had ovarian cancer, another horrible, horrible disease. Now, Kimberly got sick 3 years ago in August, and I remember when they called me to tell me that, they had this something called ascites, which I hadn't even heard of. It's this fluid that builds up in your stomach. And I remember I was in Nashville when she called me, and I was so stunned. I was so shocked, so saddened. When I came back to LA, Kimberly lived in San Francisco, and I immediately went up there to San Francisco. And over the next 3 years, I went to San Francisco about 20 times, like a good amount, right? Because I have a kid. I'm here in LA. You just can't leave. But I did go up about 20 times. I always flew just to make most use of the time that I had, 3, 4, 5, 6 days, whatever it would be. And I helped her. I helped Kimberly through her first initial surgery, and then a lot of paracentesis, which is when they drain your stomach of that fluid. And Kimberly was a brilliant psychologist, actually, a doctor. And she, throughout all of these treatments that she went on, that she had to go through over the last 3 years, she still kept working, seeing 8, 9, 10 clients a day in the house. So it was all like teletherapy. And it was in the house. And when I would go visit Kimberly, I would have to leave the house when she had therapy because, of course, it's private. So I would stay outside of her house on the back deck and in the garage for hours, 8 to 10 hours a day. I would just hang out outside so that they could have the privacy to go, to work with the clients. And at one point I bought Kimberly a bike, and it came, and I built it, which took me like 2 days, and I still didn't get it right. Had to go to the bike shop. And I did a lot of grocery shopping for Kimberly, a lot of pharmacy runs, and of course, a lot of chemo treatments. She went through, I think, 3 rounds of chemo, and Kimberly wanted to keep her hair, so I helped her, packing her head with ice. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but if you know anybody that's been through chemotherapy or you have to go through chemotherapy, you can actually save your hair now by freezing your head before the chemo goes in, and then even hours after the last chemo has dripped into you. You freeze your head. Essentially, it freezes the hair cells, and so the chemo doesn't reach it, if that makes sense. So anyway, it's called cold packing, I think it's called, and it's very complicated, actually. You have a cooler, and you have all these ice packs in it. These ice packs are fitted that go around your head, and they go on in a certain way, in a certain pattern. So you have to get dry ice the night before to keep these ice packs freezing cold. And then you go in with the person, and you put the first ice pack on their head, and then every 20 minutes... it's a series of ice packs. It's like 4 ice packs that go around your head in a certain way. And then every 20 minutes, you have to change those ice packs out because it has to stay absolutely freezing cold all day. So I would help Kimberly with her cold capping, and I did that, 10 times. And it takes hours. You're in for chemo. It should only take maybe 4 or 5 hours, but now you got to do this cold packing on either end. So now you're in there for 10 hours. And anyway... But Kimberly's my best friend. We were in the sandbox together. She was in my wedding. This is the person I've known my whole life. Like we spent so much time together. And, she knew how bad ovarian cancer was. She knew. And, initially she made out this will, and she said to me, I just want you to have everything and you can do whatever you want with it. She was estranged from her family and only had 2 other friends. And I remember thinking, okay, whatever. I'm not really thinking about her will at that time. Anyway, I don't even know why I'm saying all this, but I feel like I have to get it out. So I may as well tell you guys. Kimberly and I would have fights because Kimberly never wanted to go to the hospital. They didn't want to go to the hospital, which of course I understand. Who wants to go to the hospital? But sometimes, they should have gone to the hospital, but they didn't. And I'm not a nurse. I'm doing my best, and they're so sick. The vomiting, the sickness. It's just devastating. You guys know, people who've had cancer. There's just no winning. It's horrible. Eating was a struggle. Everything was a struggle. And yet she was still seeing her clients and still taking care of so many people. Like she was so good at her job. And anyway, I continued to go up as often as I could. Like I said, probably 20 times in 3 years. But at one point, about 1.5 years ago, Kimberly and I got into a big fight. But we've fought 1,000 times over 50 years. People fight. That's what you do. We're like sisters. And Kimberly got so angry with me, which I didn't really understand the depth of her anger. And, she knows I have a good heart, but I don't know, she couldn't let it go. And so she kind of stopped talking with me for about 1 year. I would email her and text her every other day, every 3 days, but she stopped until this past April when she called me and asked me to go up again. So I went, of course, immediately. And I went in April, and I went in May, and I went in June. And this was during my hearing loss when it first started, but I helped as much as I could. And then, it's such a long story, but at the end of the day, she passed away. And somehow, even though those last 10 days of her life, I called every day, 2-3 times a day, just talking to her. The hospice worker would put the phone near her head and I would talk to her and tell her how much I love her, tell her how much good she did in the world, how many people she helped. And I just did everything I could because it was like my sister was dying. And then she did pass away. And, it's devastating. But to really get real here, what happened though at the very end of the day is she ended up cutting me out of her will. She cut me out of her will. She gave me her car. She did have a nice car, and that was left to me. But her entire estate, and I'm talking about $1 million. Because again, huge house, San Francisco, doctor, about $1 million estate, maybe $700,000, but a lot of money, got split between 2 other friends, and I was iced out. And I can't even tell you the heartbreak. I mean, it's not about the money, and I'm certainly not a greedy person, but because we had one argument, we've had 1,000 arguments, but that one argument, that one time, pissed her off so bad, she took me out of her will. Okay, so that's what it is. But I'm left thinking, what in the world were you thinking? How could you do that? How could you be so cold? No matter who was right or who was wrong in that fight, I've known them since I was 4. I took time away from my kid to go up there 20 times. Kimberly did pay for some of my flights, but I paid for a lot of them too. I mean, I put out thousands of dollars to go up there, and my time and hanging out outside. Every minute I was there, I had to be outside, hanging out in her garage, building a bicycle. I would go running and I would go jogging. I would go bicycling, of course, but I mean, I couldn't even go inside, but I did that. I painted her fence. I painted her porch. Do you know what I mean? Like I did everything I could. I tried so hard to help her. I took all of her trash out. I got all the, whatever they needed. Anyway, at the end of the day, I was X'd out of the will, and it's just shocking, and it makes her death all the worse, because that means she didn't want me to have anything. You believe that? She didn't want me to have money. Like, that's unbelievable. She knows I'm a single mom. She gave the money to 2 other people. One of them has no children, and one of them is very, very wealthy. So that happened in 24. Just really a devastating end to a devastating disease. And it's another one of those diseases where if I get ovarian cancer or pancreatic, let me tell you something, man. I'm going for euthanasia, and I'm going to plan my death the way I planned my weddings. And it'll be fun, and then I'm out. But I am not going to get to that end stage, because that end stage is ugly and horrible. And I will not forget my friends in my will. Okay. You guys excited for Thanksgiving? Big day, big day. I have been asked to make a pie. So I'm making my first apple pie. I'm going to do that today. They asked me to make pumpkin, but I hate pumpkin. And so I'm not doing that. I'm doing apple. And my mom has been making apple pie her whole life. And so I called my mom for the recipe. And my mom said, All right. Well, first, get out the biggest pie pan you have. And I said, I don't have a pie pan, Mom. And then there was complete silence for about 45 seconds. Like I absolutely stunned my mother by saying, I don't have a large pie pan. Oh, it's so funny. Super funny. Anyway, my kid is a senior in high school, like you know, and they're applying to all the colleges. And so that process is coming to an end. And then we're going to wait to see where they get accepted. And then you find out where the financial aid is coming from. And then after the financial aid decisions come in, then you choose your school. So I'm very excited for my kid. They're a straight A student. I couldn't be more proud. So that's a really bright light for me right now, is thinking of my beautiful child, going off to college, which is such a good time, right? College is a blast. Anyway, you guys, so things are good. Things are, a little topsy-turvy this year. Of course, the election has us devastated. But I've stopped watching the news, man. I just can't even watch it. I just can't. I'm just not going to give that my energy anymore. I'm just not. Maybe in 4 years. My kid, I told my kid, I said, you have to fix this. Your whole generation now has to go out there and fix this. So good luck. Anyway, you guys, big show coming up. Like I said, December 21st, 4 days after my surgery. So hopefully I will have the bandages off within 4 days, because I need to be on stage and ready to roll with Wendy McClendon Covey's Story Smash, December 21st. Get your tickets at storysmashtshow.com. And don't forget, there'll be another true storytelling show at Flappers. That's coming up as well. All right, you guys, thank you so much for listening to me today and hearing me air out my 2024 life. And I appreciate it so much. Again, cochlear implant going in on December 17th. So cross your fingers. Think of me that Tuesday. I really appreciate it. And shortly we'll be back with regular Storyworthies on every Tuesday. But right now, that's going to do it for today. So again, thank you guys so much for listening. It means so much to me. Check out my YouTube channel if you get a chance. Follow me on Insta and all that stuff. I really appreciate it. And I do hope you have a happy Thanksgiving. All right, you guys. One more time on behalf of all of my fabulous storytelling friends, the people who've been on this show, and the people that listen to this show. You guys make it all worthwhile. Believe me, if I didn't know there were a couple thousand people listening, I wouldn't be doing this. But you are listening, and I really appreciate it. All right, one more thing. Big shout out to my friend Dave Bechek. He's a longtime listener, and he went through his own health scare this year. So luckily he's okay. He came out the other side. I love him to death. Thanks, Dave. And all right, that's it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. My name is Christine Blackburn, saying, make it a story-worthy week.
Thanks for joining us on the Storyworthy Podcast. We'll be back next week with all new stories. Subscribe to Storyworthy on iTunes and visit the Storyworthy website at storyworthypodcast.com.